All right. Welcome to the MBA Secrets podcast. Today, we're very excited to have Diaa Wang here with us, who is an MBA student at Esade Business School. He has a bachelor's degree in economics from the American University in Cairo and has also completed the core certificate from Harvard Business School online, which I thought was pretty impressive. And now, of course, he's at Esade. So with that, Diaa, thank you so much for being here, for joining us. I'm really excited to hear your perspective. And with that, please feel free to give us a little bit more of your background.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for the quick introduction. It's my pleasure to be here. So briefly, like you said, my name is Diaa Wang, which is a half Egyptian, half Chinese name, and I'm half Egyptian, half Chinese. That's why. So to walk you through really briefly, I graduated from economics. It was my passion all throughout undergrad to continue working in that field, but apparently you don't find a lot of jobs in the Middle East if you're an economist,
Mm.
unfortunately. So I switched into business directly. I worked in a company called EA Energy, which works in infrastructure development. I worked on the business end of it. We mainly used to partner with highly advanced engineering companies abroad outside the Middle East area, and we would bring them in. And my job was like somewhere between business development and liaison, which was very interesting because not 2 days or like at the office. One
That's
day
the
you're with
best.
this company. Yeah,
Right.
it was really fun.
Awesome.
I worked there for about 3 to 4 years, and then afterwards I decided I wanted to do my MBA, and I think um, I think I mainly did it because not because I'm bored or anything, but I
Mm.
think MBA was the right choice for me at the time, and we can expand on that further.
Yeah, that's actually exactly where I was going. What made you feel like that was the best decision for you at the time to get an MBA?
Um, so like I just said, my job was to talk with high technical engineering companies, I would
Right.
say. That's what
Uh,
they're called abroad. But our office's focus was mainly China, which was very fun for me, to be honest, working for 3 or 4 years with large Chinese companies. But I wanted to widen that perspective a little bit. I thought that a region like the Middle East could use some European companies, some American companies, and so on. So I thought to myself that I should really start getting a perspective on how business is done in Europe or done abroad. Because I come from that economics background, I do have an understanding of fundamentals of business, but I never was that kind of specialist. I was never like a marketing or a finance. And, there's always this a clash between generalist and specialist. And
right.
I've always felt like I was a bit on the specialist side because I only could do economics and I didn't have that broad perspective. So I also wanted to add that to my set of skills. And then I started to research, first of all, jobs. I was like, okay, let me just go find something else that I could do. But to be honest, I didn't want to leave what I was doing for like a desk job. I really loved
Right.
traveling and meeting with other companies. So then I thought an MBA for sure. That's something I
Right.
would definitely love to do.
It kind of unlocks the door to keep
Yeah.
that kind of okay. Well, that actually brings me to another thought. We actually had a listener submit a question that I wanted to. It kind of fits right here. Um,
Sure.
and I'm personally very interested to hear your perspective on this. She said, "Do you miss working or do you like school better? And how do those, which do you prefer? Tell us your perspective on that."
That's very interesting. I would say that I've thought about it at the beginning, but it's just breaking the routine. Like
Right.
you start missing it when you start to form the different habits of studying and so on. But there are a lot of people who look at it in different ways, and I've talked with my colleagues a little bit about it. Some people talk about um, financial part, which is something that every MBA student has to think about it at
Right.
some point.
Big time.
Yeah, sure, it's a huge investment, either by time or even financially. And the second one is the career development. And some people still don't understand clearly where do they go from the MBA, and that poses some sort of a risk. But for me personally, I would say, yes, I do miss my job just because of the environment that I was in. I felt very positive about my job during and at the time that I left. But different people will feel different things. If you're not like that kind of person who enjoys his workplace, then I think you will love an MBA.
Yeah,
You
and you
will
never
not miss it.
never want it to end. Yeah. That's perfect. That's a very interesting perspective. Not a lot of people love their job, and I don't know. I think that's part of the reason why people go to get an MBA is because they want to like their job, and it opens so many doors, right? So, um, I'm happy for you that you did like it before you even started your MBA. That's awesome. So what's next? Where do you go from here? What are your goals? Do you want to go back into that same world, or where do you go from here?
That's still under discussion between me and my wife.
Okay. Yeah, that's half the battle, right?
Of course, yeah, she is a part of the decision. But to be
Absolutely.
honest, the way I look at it right now is I have the option to go back to my company, which is some people do have that offer extended and some people don't. But in my case, I have the offer extended and I have to
Mm.
weigh the pros and cons, either do that or the other option would be to do my own thing.
Oh,
I'm not the kind of person who would go into a corporate career. I think at least at this stage, because I'm so used to the non-traditional work environment. I think a corporate is gonna kill me. So it's either
yeah,
go
yeah.
at it myself or go back to my old job.
I love it. Do you have specific ideas or things that you would pursue if you did go it alone?
Yes, and it's something that I think um, at least in my school, people that shy away a little bit from talking about it just because it might have some sort of a negative connotation. But part of the MBA is having connections. And I
Right.
don't view my colleagues as like a stepping stone for the next business or whatever. Of course not. They're
Sure.
my friends. We went through a lot together. So, but in the end, they are connections. And I think I've made a lot of good connections and I've networked really well. And I've met similar minded people who look at the global market and who look at doing things cross border between my country and your country. Oh, so what do you need in that region?
Yeah.
I think I know a great contractor or a great high
Hmm.
tech company that can do it for you. So a lot of those ideas are forming already, but it comes down to the risk of whether or not it's something that you should jump to right now or not.
Right. It's interesting. Um, okay, so let's talk about your family just for a second. How, because I'm married as well, and this decision to pursue an MBA was obviously a 50-50 decision. It's half me, half my wife. That's how it goes. Um, and I would be lying if I said it was easy for her, right? It's like you said, it's a huge commitment, time, money, opportunity cost, all these things. So tell us a little bit about how that worked. How does she feel now that you're in? Has it been challenging for her? Just a little bit of that perspective would be wonderful.
Sure. Like you said, and I think for the listeners who also have a family, they
Hmm.
should know that it is a tough decision to
Right.
just. So she was working, I was working, and the decision to just cut our careers in the middle for like a year or 2 years is super hard to arrive at.
Right.
And we talked about it. Of course, like you said, it's 50-50. And we said, if the stars are aligned, then we will go. And what we had in the plan is, well, first of all, I get accepted into a really good school, like
Right.
one of the ones that we have on our list as a go-to place. Second of all, is that she gets into a program herself because she
Mm,
works in fashion, and then we would weigh out financially. And thankfully, I got a scholarship, a
awesome.
small scholarship, but it's still scholarship. And she got the full ride. She got the full
Wonderful.
program for herself.
So the
So the
stars aligned, right?
stars aligned.
That's perfect.
Yeah, and that was our sign. That was
Awesome.
our message to go ahead. So yeah,
That's perfect. So you're from Egypt. You've worked
yeah,
and lived in China. I saw you worked and lived, I'm assuming, in Dubai. Is that right?
yeah, yeah.
So how did you come to the decision to go to Esade? It's in Spain. So that's, I, I mean, obviously it's a great school, but what drew you specifically there?
Um, Two things. One, I really wanted wanted this to be, because you never know when you'll get an opportunity to travel. And me and my wife, I wanted this to be some sort of, I would say, an adventure for us or something like that. Because afterwards in life, you never know when you can get a break like this. So first, I know that it's the wrong way to look at it, and not all people should look at it, but I looked at the location first. So I started to look up cities where I wanted to live, and I checked the business schools there. Yeah, and I had like Barcelona, I had Paris, I had Milan and Rome, and I also had New York, but it was a little bit down the pecking order. Nothing against New York, of course, but
it's cold.
Europe. Well, yeah, that's true. And I really like the beaches in Europe. So
yes, they are amazing.
But Esade specifically. So of course I have applied to several universities, and thankfully I got offers from different kinds of universities. Like if people look into the MBAs, sometimes in the non-traditional, like what they call business review, you'll find them grouped together, like, oh, this is a finance school or a finance MBA, this is a consulting school, and so on.
Right.
And I knew I wanted to do consulting, and I got the offer from one of the top consulting schools in the world.
Wow.
But I'm not going to drop any names, but
sure,
if anyone is interested, they can message me on LinkedIn and I'll spill the secrets.
That's what this is about.
But then and it honestly, it outranked Esade in most official rankings and metrics. But I really dug deep into like the core of the schools, because if you look at the curriculum, generally speaking, they almost all look alike from the outside. But when you start to dig deep and see what the school stands for and what they try to instill in their students, Esade just clicked with me. I love the way they are a collaborative school. Like 80 to 90% of your grade comes from teamwork. So it's like a group of 5 to 6 people, and you work together throughout the semester, and you all share the same grades in like 80%. So that was amazing for me. So you learn to work in a group, you learn to collaborate. And second of all, I wanted a school that was a bit more personalized. And I saw that there were some of the schools, even the ones that I got accepted into, that the MBA class is 800 people, 900 people. And that was a bit too much for me, because there's no way I'm going to get to meet 900
that's
people.
A lot.
That's first. And second of all, the classes would be a bit crowded. But Esade is 180 people.
Perfect.
So I think it's one of the smallest MBA programs in the world. And I love that. What else? And to be honest, I know that sounds kind of cheesy, but I've talked with the recruiters from different schools. And the ones from Esade are the ones where I really felt that they care about you as a person, no matter where you go. So I asked, I don't want them to sound evil, but I asked the recruiters after I finished the interview and I got in and we like having the chat. And I asked them like some sort of trick questions. So the one from the school that I thought was the best, I asked her, I got accepted into this school, into this school. And the reply was, oh, we're way better than those. Those are not there. But when I asked Esade, he said, well, I'm going to tell you the truth. This school is good at this. This school is good at this. So she just gave the information without having, any commitments or anything from my side. And I felt like this is the kind of people I like to be engaged with.
Wow. Sounds like you did a lot of really good work, to put yourself in a position where you and your family would be happy, right? And that kind of leads you've heard some of these episodes, that these next two questions are ones that I like to ask everybody, and I think they're very applicable to everybody, no matter what situation they're in. But tell us about your application process. Maybe the GMAT, if you took that, and your interviews, and what kinds of things, what are the secrets that you have to help maximize people's chances or experiences?
Sure. I want to tell you two things. One, I'm going to tell you a little bit of my story, but I don't think it applies to all people, but I'm hoping that there's a listener out there who can benefit from it. Actually, because I'm quite young, so I graduated from my undergrads when I was 20 years old. Wow. I got into college when I was 16. So I'm very much on the younger side. And I didn't have confidence in my ability to get into an MBA. So I actually started a couple of my applications in an MIM, a Master's in Management, which
Mm.
is a step lower than the MBA. And one of also the reasons that I wanted to go to Esade is that Esade was the first one to call me back and say, "Hey, you're a great MBA candidate. Actually, we're going to take
Hmm.
you into the MBA." So that was really cool.
Amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, that was really cool. So the people should know that sometimes you may not have confidence in yourself to do the application or to go through the process, and it might sound very overwhelming, but go for it. That's for sure. You might not be as lucky as me and have a case handler that actually looks into your profile and says, by the way, you're much better than what you credit yourself for. We're going to take you in the MBA. So that was really cool. But generally, I think the most important part of my process, at least, is prep early. That was the key for everything. If you prep early, you have time to get the GMAT or the GRE or whatever test you're going for, and see if your scores are adequate or not, and go again and go again and so on.
Right.
Of course, for an MBA program, I think the biggest weight goes on to the GMAT or GRE, but it goes up until a certain point.
Right.
And beyond that point, it's if you pass a certain threshold, then you're good, and
Right.
then it goes to how unique your profile is. And a lot of people, everyone is unique, of course,
Right.
but there are better storytellers, and that's the part that people need to learn. You need to
Absolutely.
know where your strengths are, where your weaknesses are, so that when you walk into an interview with a recruiter, you'll be able to tell your story in a much better way, and you'll be able to answer all the questions on your weaknesses when it comes up during the interview.
I love that. Wow. That is valuable stuff. Yeah, that's awesome. Well, okay. So the second part of that is now you're in. I saw on LinkedIn you were part of a panel of students from the African continent, right? You're involved, I can tell.
Yeah.
So how would you, or what advice would you give to people to maximize their experience when they're in their program and be involved like you are?
Um, I would say that the first thing is that you need to have the willingness to share, because in the end, some parts of the MBA are academic, that's for sure, but the
Mhm.
other part is the experience you get from your classmates and inside the classroom. And it's very important that you try to be as helpful as possible, to share your experiences as much as possible. And in that sense, if everyone does that, then the MBA experience becomes more wholesome.
Hmm.
So I went in with that mentality. I wanted to participate in as much activities as possible without, of course, hindering my academic work. But I do recommend extracurricular activities for anyone who feels like they're lacking in a certain part. Like I joined the consulting club because I'm interested in consulting as a business method. I think consultants approach businesses in a very intelligent way, so that's why I joined out of curiosity. And I also joined the luxury and fashion club just
Cool.
because my wife works in
Yeah.
fashion, and whenever she talks to me, I don't understand half of the things that she's talking about.
Uh,
So I did that kind of for myself.
for your
uh,
relationship to improve that. That's
yeah.
awesome. Wow. It is so valuable in so many ways. That's great.
To have a better relationship at
Yeah.
home.
Perfect. Well, um, I know for those listening, obviously Dia's in Spain. I'm in Utah in the US, so it's very late there for him, and I'll let him go here after this. I just wanted to share my little takeaways. I've got two things that you said that really stood out to me. First is having confidence in yourself. I think way more people can relate to that than can't. I know I could. Believing that you've got something to offer because you do, and these schools want you. And if you don't believe that, what's the harm in trying? Because I'm sure you'll find that that's actually the case. And then secondly, is when you're in the application process, it's that storytelling. That was I could not agree with you more about that. And when I was reaching out to students who were in the program, that's the exact same advice that I got from them. Make sure that you know yourself and your story, and the better that you can convey that, I mean, geez, it's just going to pay
Yeah.
dividends. So
Sure. And it will help you after the MBA as well,
yes,
by the way. If
yes.
you're listening, you should be ready starting from now.
Yeah, exactly. Perfect. Well, Dia, thank you again so much. I really enjoyed it. I appreciate it, and have a great evening.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. We'll talk to you later. Bye bye.
Bye.